Hey, my ordinary anglers, how we doing today? Today is a little education, a little talk, a little bit of everything. But today, because of my last tournament, I think we ought to talk about how we get caught up in baits and fishing and methods and whatnot that we forget things. Well, I haven't fished with a Carolina rig. My goodness, I can't even begin. It's been quite a while. I fished with Tommy Pickett, who has been the most successful, I'd say, angler with the Carolina rig than anyone that I know, and he's a very talented angler with a Carolina rig. And today we're going to go over the Carolina rig. Some of you all are aware, some of you guys don't know, have never heard of Carolina rig. There's the Texas rig, and then there's the Carolina rig. Now, the Carolina rig with me. Now, there'll be other people. Like Ben Milligan likes fluorocarbon on his setup on both ends. He's of the opinion that the bass, he gets more bites dragging that bait, because here's the problem: fluorocarbon sinks quick. Okay, and I like to think that I don't want my bait to sink real fast when I'm doing a Carolina rig. Now, it'll eventually get down to where his would be with fluorocarbon, but not right off. And other than the lateral lines, if you're around fish, they're gonna see it. And if you're fishing around brush piles or whatever, I don't want that bait to fall down in that brush pile right away and get me hung up. And that's important, as you'll see. But I'll start off. This is the just a regular 3/4 ounce weight. It's gonna be a 3/4 ounce weight, followed by, now here we go. And some of this is your choice, but my leaders are monofilament, and this is 17-pound Test Trilene XT green. I'm just using this to show you. I use 14-pound, and sometimes, depending on what I'm fishing, I might go up to 17 here as my leader. So it's going to be, let me grab one, a swivel, glass beads. Now these are for sound, and a swivel, and I'm running straight braid to monofilament, which is the Trilene XT. So it's going to be the weight, 2 glass beads, a double-ended swivel. You can use brass. I use the dark color, and I'll show you this in a second. Length is a stretch here. That's my length. Now, you can use a smaller weight and a short leader. Matter of fact, Tommy Pickett at Ross Barnett won a tournament down there fishing a Carolina rig with a short leader with a red craw. Very short. Throwing it up on the bank in a foot of water, and that's how he won. I know because my co-angler was friends with the co-angler that drew out with him, so it was pretty important. Anyhow, so primarily there's 4 baits, and these 4 are the primary baits. I use a brush hog, a lizard, a worm, and a craw. That's the 4 baits that you can utilize on your Carolina rig. Now then, you'll see we have, this is a very good finesse hook. I agree with Ben Milliken. He uses a 3/0. Depending on what I'm throwing, I may go to a 4/0, but I do have the 3/0 also, and I have those in the Owner Haymaker 3/0 hooks. They're a very good, sharp, decent ways. There's 2 ways to do it. When you cast it out there, you want to, I know people that pick it up just like they're fishing a Texas rig. They'll raise it up and let it back and take up the slack. Others, like myself, depending on the situation, if I'm around a bunch of stuff in the water, brush and stuff, or I need to lift the weight up over stuff, I'll fish it like that. If I'm fishing around shale beds, gravel, sand, which sand is key, and a lot of times I'm dragging it. It's just reel your slack up, pull, and drag. Now, like I said, these 2, this is the Gamakatsu Finesse Tournament grade, and I think I have showed you before, the hook is offset from in the gap, and that's important because when a fish grabs it, he's hooked a little bit easier. And then of course you can't go wrong with the Haymaker. Very hard to get, usually on back order. Ask Todd Castelline. So let's move on. Brush hog, lizard, big worm, craw. Not necessarily these colors. You know, if I was going to pick one color to start with, and I have never fished before, it'd be green pumpkin. You can go to other colors as you do it, but green pumpkin's your best all-around bait. Of course, my favorite, brush hog, which recently has been which I got a new shipment in, a California 420 mid-size. Can you tell I like them? Yeah, I got a shipment in of those. But anyway, of course, we have a new world champion, Dylan Nutt, who's very effective on the Tennessee River system. But now I will show you what that looks like as a finished product. But remember, you can cover a lot of water with it. Many times, this is the last tournament at Pickwick. I caught my keeper on it with the California 420 with the tail dipped, which, you know, caught it early, which took a lot of pressure off. You know, when you get that first keeper in a tournament, it's a little bit of a relief. But it's real important, as I'm going to show you, how you line these up. I use improved cinch knot on my knot tying on both ends of the Carolina rig, and then I use a Palomar knot on the hook itself on the leader. But anyway, well, let's just let me grab my Carolina rig rod. Of course, now you want to, here's the other thing, you want a rod with backbone. I use a 7 foot or longer rod that's heavy and because when you're here, and I'll explain another reason why I use braid. When you're feeling braid and you're especially new at this, you could use fluorocarbon like Ben Milliken did in his video. But for people just starting, who've never felt, you know, got used to that feeling of getting a bite, your sensitivity with braid is astronomical compared to fluorocarbon. Sorry, fluorocarbon is really sensitive, but it's nothing like braid. So when you are dragging that bait and you feel that hit, you will feel it, especially on you new folks that aren't used to it, you will feel that strike or that hit. So much easier with braid. A lot of times too, if you got to break off your leader and you're fishing around stuff, it's so much easier just to have to tie on a leader, right, of mono than the whole shooting match. To me, when I'm fishing in a tournament, time is of the essence. Of course, I don't want to have to be re-rigging and re-rigging because, you know, I'm fishing around structure and stuff that, you know, you're gonna break them off. Now there's one weight that I'm not showing you. I don't have it, but that's just a round ball weight, an oblong weight similar to this, except it's round, which in certain applications you want this weight. If you're in a lot of big rocks, this is going to get hung up in the rock, right? And then that ain't good if you're fishing. If you got big chunk rock, you'd probably be better off with an oval weight. And part two of that is for sensitivity. If you don't have them, which they are pricey, tungsten's the way to go on the weight. It's like I said, it's all about feeling the bite. It's all about sensitivity. All right. So hold on a minute. Let me pull a rod out and we'll show you some more stuff. All right. Now, like I said before, see your weight. There's the braid to mono. Okay, that slides up and down, 2 beads. Now you ask why the beads. Actually, this hitting those beads make a little clicking sound. They say it mimics a crawfish clicking sound that a crawfish makes in the water, which is sound travels in water religiously, and you can see as this slides up and down, it hits those beads. Okay, you can see the 2 different improved fisherman's knot that I use, and I got a fray right there. I need to retie that later. And then we have the bait I use to catch, and whatever works. This is my confidence bait because I've been catching a lot of good fish on it, and I'm happy with it. That's a 3/0 hook. Depending on the bait, and you can use a 4/0, but I'm very comfortable with my setup. This is on a 7-foot medium heavy Daiwa rod. I use Lew's rods, Daiwa rods, and before I'm slowly switching my reels to Lew's Quantum. I used before with KVD Quantum bait casters. But look, this is a great way to cover water. It's a great way to catch fish, and if you're new to it, I would suggest using the braided line. When you get to be a pro like Ben Milligan, maybe you can switch to but me, I like the braided line. It's just me. I like the sensitivity. I like the casting ability of it. You probably, this is 50 or 65 pound braid, but you probably could go down to, you know, a lesser pound braid and you might get better casting results from that. But that's the Carolina rig. And at Ordinary Angler Outdoors, we want to teach everybody to learn the different ways we catch fish. I went to Sam Rayburn with and fished a tournament, and a new lizard came out that was a chartreuse pepper. It had just been had chartreuse and black flake. It just came out from Zoom back in the day, and this was like this tournament was like a Toyota. I was a co-angler, and of course not many people had seen that color lizard before. Just a 6-inch lizard like this, and within about 5 casts I had 2 fish over 3.5 pounds. And then my pro, or my boater, decided to do some wild stuff, and that ended up being all I could get. But anyway, there is not much else on the Carolina rig. And like and subscribe, share this with your friends who don't know much about a Carolina rig. It's can be very effective, especially in a lot of lakes. You can cover a lot of ground with it, especially in situations where there's current. But now understand, the monofilament doesn't fall fast. This bait This bait doesn't fall fast, so you're giving the fish time to see. What is one thing they always say? You want the bait above the fish. Even when they throw the minnow and forward facing sonar, you want the bait above the fish, right? So the fish are on the bottom, right? They see this bait above and it's slowly falling because the weight's going to hit first, and this is going to slowly eventually hit the bottom, but not as fast as fluorocarbon. Okay? That's my thought process. So to me, you keep the bait in the strike zone on the way down when you stop, because after you cast this, you let it go to the bottom and you stop and you pull up slack, and a lot of times that's when you're going to get bit, depending on whether you're throwing it into structure or brush pile or there's a stump or something there. Usually when you hit that stump, it's game on. But anyway, this is your ordinary angler, Mike Quattrone, and hopefully you got something out of this. And there'll be more videos on different subjects. We have a Grenada coming up in the BFL in about 3 or 4 weeks, and of course we'll be doing video from there, and I'm probably going to go practice there here in a week or so to get ready for that. But anyway, like and subscribe. Go to ordinaryangleroutdoors.com. If you like to use 5-Hour Energy, click on that link on that website. Use Michael15, all capitals, and you'll get a discount. I do like this product. They are a sponsor, and we do what we can to put out good stuff for my subscribers and future subscribers. But anyway, alrighty, y'all have a great day, tight lines, and hopefully see you on the next one. Bye bye now.